In a world that is just buzzing with digital noise, there's one skill that is fast becoming a legitimate superpower: the ability to actually focus. Today, we're diving into Cal Newport's big idea, deep work. It's basically a guide for getting incredible results by just shutting out all those distractions. All right, let's get into it.
So to really get this, we're going to go back in time, all the way back to 1922 to this stone tower built by the psychiatrist Carl Jung. Now, this wasn't a getaway from his work, it was a retreat into it. You see, he knew that to come up with truly revolutionary ideas, he had to escape the noise. He had to create a sanctuary for pure, uninterrupted thought. And that commitment, well, that's the heart and soul of deep work.
Okay, so what did Jung get that so many of us seem to be missing today? Well, Cal Newport argues that pretty much all the work we do can be split into two very different categories. Let's break them down.
First up, you've got deep work. Think about those moments of intense, single-minded focus where you're really pushing your brain to its limits. This is the good stuff. This is where you create real value. It's how you learn hard things fast and how you produce work that's truly special and, frankly, hard for anyone else to copy. And then, on the flip side, you have shallow work. You know this stuff. This is the busy work that just seems to fill up our days. Answering simple emails, sitting in on yet another status update meeting, mindlessly scrolling through feeds. These are those low-value tasks we do with half our brain, and they don't really create much of anything new. I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you have work that's tough, that builds your skills, that creates something from nothing. And on the other side, you've got easy, low-impact tasks that are usually done with a million other things going on. So here's the big question. Which side of this chart does your typical workday really fall on?
Well, the data is kind of a bummer. A McKinsey study found that your average knowledge worker spends more than 60% of their week on shallow stuff like email and just looking for information online. 60%. That means most of us are just treading water, with less than 40% of our time left for the deep, meaningful work that actually moves the needle.
But here's the thing. If almost everyone is stuck in the shallow end of the pool, that creates a massive opportunity for anyone willing to go deep. Newport says that mastering deep work isn't just some nice little habit. It's quickly becoming the single most valuable skill in our economy. Here's why. This brings us right to the core of the whole book, the deep work hypothesis. And it's simple. The ability to focus without distraction is getting rarer and rarer at the exact same moment that it's becoming more and more valuable. So, what does that mean for you? Well, it means the few people who actually cultivate this skill are going to be the ones who absolutely crush it.
So why is it so valuable? Because deep work is what fuels the two most critical abilities you can have today. Number one, the ability to learn complicated things fast. And number two, the ability to produce work at an elite level. We're talking top-tier quality and speed. Without that intense, uninterrupted focus, both of those are pretty much impossible.
Let's make this real. Take the story of Jason Ben. He was stuck in this dead-end $40,000 a year job that he realized could literally be automated by a simple script, so he decided to learn to code. But he knew he got distracted easily, so he did something pretty radical. He locked himself in a room with nothing but programming books and note cards. For 2 solid months, he just taught himself how to focus and learn. And the result? He didn't just pass a top coding boot camp, he graduated at the top of his class and more than doubled his salary, landing a 6-figure job. He basically traded a life of shallowness for one of depth, and it completely changed his career trajectory.
Okay, this all leads to a really interesting question. If deep work is this powerful, this valuable, why do our modern workplaces feel like they were specifically designed to prevent it?
I mean, think about it. You've got open-plan offices, a constant barrage of instant messages, this unspoken pressure to reply to every single email within minutes. These things are the enemies of focus. So what gives? Why is there such a huge disconnect? Well, Newport says it comes down to 3 pretty powerful forces at play.
The first one is called the principle of least resistance. Basically, when we don't have super clear feedback on what we should be doing, our brains just naturally drift towards whatever is easiest in the moment. And let's be honest, dashing off a quick reply to an email feels a whole lot easier than the hard, disciplined, focused thinking that deep work requires.
Reason number 2. We've started confusing busyness with productivity.
For a lot of jobs, it's actually hard to measure what real impact looks like. So what do we do instead? We prove our worth by looking busy. Frantically answering emails, hopping from meeting to meeting. It gives everyone the illusion that we're being productive, but a lot of the time, it's just spinning our wheels in the shallows.
And finally, Newport points a finger at what he calls the cult of the internet. This is this pervasive cultural belief that any new technology, especially if it's connected to the internet, must be innovative and good for us. We just adopt tools like Slack or other collaboration platforms without ever stopping to ask the really important question: does this new thing actually help us produce more valuable work?
So we've talked all about the economic reasons to embrace deep work. But Newport's last argument, this one goes a lot deeper. He makes the case that a life built around deep work isn't just more productive, it's also way more meaningful.
Just think about someone like Rick Furr. He's a blacksmith who forges historical swords. His craft requires absolute, unbroken concentration. For him, the meaning isn't just in the finished sword, it's in the intense challenge of the process itself. And Newport's point is that this deep satisfaction isn't just for artisans. It's available to any of us if we're willing to treat our work like a craft.
And to really drive this home, he pulls in evidence from 3 different places. You've got a neurological argument for how our focus literally shapes our world, a psychological argument about that feeling of flow, and a philosophical argument about finding meaning in craftsmanship. Let's quickly touch on each one. So first, the neurological take. It turns out that what you pay attention to literally creates your reality. If your attention is constantly being pulled apart by pings and notifications, your brain builds a world that feels chaotic and stressful. But if you spend your time focused on deep, meaningful challenges, your brain starts to see your life as one filled with purpose and substance.
Next up, the psychological argument, which is all about the concept of flow. The research here is really clear. We humans are at our happiest, not when we're kicking back and relaxing, but when our minds are stretched to their absolute limits in pursuit of something worthwhile. And deep work, it's one of the most reliable ways to get into that amazing state of consciousness.
And finally, there's the philosophical argument. When we start to approach our work like a craft, and it doesn't matter if you're a coder, a writer, a marketer, whatever, we tap into a source of meaning that's bigger than just us. The idea here is that you don't have to invent a grand purpose for your life out of thin air. You can find it right there in the dedication to becoming excellent at what you do.
So here's the big takeaway. Deep work isn't just another productivity hack. It's a discipline that can make you a star in your career, for sure. But more than that, it's a path to a richer, more focused, and genuinely more meaningful life. So we'll leave you with one final question to think about. What could you really build, create, or solve with your truly uninterrupted focus?